Hello, beautiful sunshines. Welcome to Now That's Love.
With your favorite mother-daughter duo, Ashlyn and
Janae where you get to know thyself, love thyself, and become the best version of self.
because the greatest love story that you are ever going to tell is the one you create with yourself every day.
Hello, everyone.
I'm so glad to be back. We're finally the duos back together.
I'm so happy. Okay, so today is all about how to shift out of loneliness. And do you ever find yourself feeling lonely, yet you're surrounded by people? Maybe you just are searching for like a deeper connection or in fulfillment.
I totally get it. Loneliness can be just so difficult and that disconnected feeling. I think personally, I've talked to many women about it, and even myself, that even that loneliness and disconnected feeling usually comes right before our monthly cycle, and it's just the realest feeling.
We want to be lonely in a way.
Yeah, it's like, run away from my emotions, pack the car up, go to the beach, leave me alone. And it just can be so hard. But today, we're going to help you shift that energy and work on building a happier and more connected version of you.
Yes, we can just feel so disconnected from everybody. And a lot of times when we're shifting on spiritual fitness and spiritual awareness, we find that we cannot live a life anymore of the masks. We're living this authentic truth. And I feel kind of alone in this world. So that's another aspect of feeling lonely too, being with all different types of people and feeling like I'm trying to live my truth and I feel like I'm not connecting with
And if this is connecting with you, we're going to totally give you guys some ways to feel that connection, that happiness, self-love. So stick around as we share powerful steps of action that you can take today.
There's 4 that we're going to show you today that you can start to take. And number 1 is the first step is overcoming loneliness is connecting with yourself. So we talk about this all the time. Know thyself and love thyself. So taking that quiet moment, honestly, I'm going to tell you this. If you're in your car, turn off the music. Start to talk to yourself. You can talk out loud. People are going to just think maybe you're talking on a speakerphone. Don't worry about it. Ask, who am I? What do I like? What would I like to do today? How are you feeling? As if you have your best friend sitting next to you, you're talking to yourself. You are your best friend. And so connecting with yourself, getting to know yourself is number 1, because everything outside of you is just an added bonus. But number 1 is getting to know and love yourself more. So I want to show you something that I give to my clients in coaching, but it's just put this on your mirror. I love you. I accept you. And I am what?
Grateful for you.
So just these cute little things, and they're all different.
I felt like a kindergartner because that's what I would do in teaching to make sure my kids were paying attention. Say, what does that last one say? Oh.
Right. Oh, you got it. So putting these up on the mirror, and we'll put a PDF down below. You can download it. Just put it up on your mirror. And every morning when you're waking up, you're starting to create a habit to love on yourself. So, and this is just rewiring your brain, rewiring it for even being stronger, a deeper love. So mantras, affirmations are a great way to start. But and then believability.
I feel like I would like to add that we have all felt like that place of loneliness. So make sure like you're really stepping into that and feeling that of just being in that room, and you can be just around a bunch of people and you just look around and you're like, why do I still feel so empty? And it's the realest feeling. So like you said, having that self-love with yourself and making sure you're having those affirmations going through with you every single day, because at the end of the day, it's your thoughts, your beliefs, and you're the one that needs to be loving on you first of all. And then step number 2 is gratitude. We are going to be practicing that so much. And obviously we are coming up onto the Thanksgiving season, so this is a perfect time to do this. It's impossible to feel lonely when you're actively appreciating the people, experiences, and blessings all around you. Gratitude shifts your perspective and fills your positive energy. So each night, write down 3 things that you're grateful for. And I'm not just saying, oh, just write it down. I love my family. I love my dog. I love chicken pot pie. Like, really, truly write it down and feel the gratitude behind it. Why? Like, why are you
The
grateful for that? Like,
emotion. Yeah.
whenever I'm grateful for my family or my husband or my kids or my dog or my house, I say, I'm so grateful for my husband because he is so nurturing and caring, not even for me, but for my kids and the people around him. I am so grateful for my friends because they authentically love me for who I am. I'm grateful for my house or my car because it provides the shelter or brings me to point A to point B. Go into the depths of why. And I
Yeah,
think
adding
that's
the
something I've really had to
because.
do. The
Yeah,
because.
adding the because it will totally be a game changer.
Yeah, they can be big or small. Anything that just really is pressed upon your heart, and it's just that meaningful conversation with yourself. So focus on the little joys and that bring connection within yourself.
Yes. And then number 3, reach out and connect. And not just reaching out to connect with anybody.
Yeah.
Really think about who do you feel you can connect with, that you can go on a deeper level, that you can be your authentic self with. And it might just be one person that you start to evolve and you feel like this is the one person that, I can just be my whole self with. I know
Mhm.
she or he's not going to judge me. And as I'm listening to myself talk to them, I can see some insights about myself, or maybe things I want to change, or things
Mhm.
I'm really appreciating about myself right now. But the deeper connections is where it's at, where you don't feel lonely. But just even today, you're feeling lonely, find that one person that you feel like you can connect with. And even if you're starting from a level of, I'm really super lonely and I don't want to do this, send a text message. Maybe send something funny, something that's relatable that you guys have
Mhm.
in common, and just start it there.
For me, it's like
And
that fish bait. It's like, for me, I put the worm on the hook and I'm throwing it out like, are they gonna catch
mhm,
it? Are they gonna
yes,
send a funny meme back? And if they do, for me, that's kind of like my cue of, okay, they're in the mood to wanna talk to me. They're in the mood to maybe they're feeling lonely and they're like, "Oh my gosh, thank God Ashlyn reached out because I felt like I was going bonkers." Me and one of my girlfriends that also has a little boy as well, me and her will just send each other memes or throughout the day or week, or just like text each other, "Hey, missing you." Just even little things like that mean the biggest thing to me because just by her saying, "Hey, missing you, checking up on you, how's mom life? Are you surviving? These toddlers are crazy." That for me is just the biggest thing because it's like, "Oh, thank God there's somebody out there in the world with right now with me that is feeling lonely or feeling the chaos, feeling the craziness of what's going on right now." And it makes me feel less lonely, especially going through the
right,
postpartum experience that I'm going through. Even whenever you messaged me, "Hey, honey, or I love you, just checking in. Do you need any help with anything? Do you
right.
need
And
food?"
saying you can
Yes.
call, like I
Yeah.
always, if you need to talk, giving you your space, but if you need to talk, I'm here.
Oh.
Two, I think that something that's becoming common, or maybe has been for a while, is we think that we're not lonely by being on social media, but
Mhm.
it can make you feel 10 times worse.
Mhm.
So, really, truly getting that real connection. That's what this is about. Number 3, it's really about
Yeah.
someone that you have a heartstring with, someone that maybe even someone you look up to, the mentor that you've had in your life, that that would just fill your cup.
Well, to
So,
totally add to that, step 4 is all about creating healthy boundaries. And yes, we have talked about this time and time and time again, but it is so freaking important. And it's something that throughout these past, I would even say 5 years mainly in my life, I think especially once I had my son, setting those boundaries were so important, not even just for myself, but for him and my family. But healthy boundaries are the key to creating fulfilling relationships and also maintaining self respect. So just remember that if you voice your boundaries and they leave good, that is, you're benefiting yourself and you're benefiting them they can find people that suit them and you can find people that suit you. It's totally okay. Most of my problems with having healthy boundaries is because I was worried about what they were going to say. That confrontation of like, oh my gosh, if they say it, they're going to leave. And most of it came from the fear of abandonment from whenever I was a child. And I had friends come and go and leave. And I felt lonely whenever that happened. So it's like, "Oh my gosh, if I create boundaries, I'm gonna feel lonely." But at the end of the day, if you keep putting into those relationships and you're not getting anything back, you're really just gonna hurt yourself in the long run and also wasting theirs and your time.
Well, you
So
can feel
sometimes
deeply
loneliness
lonely.
comes from staying in these relationships that drain us. It's important to create boundaries that protect your energy and ensure you're surrounded by people that uplift you. So, first of all, I mean, easy step number one, say no. No's a sentence. I know we've all heard that saying, but it's true. No's a sentence. No to things or people that make you feel drained. It's okay to put yourself first. And I think that's one thing I've had to really realize, even just being a mom. Put yourself first. Because if you're not doing stuff for yourself or putting yourself first, you're going to be drained. And then you're not going to put out the right energy to those people. So, putting yourself first can keep you uplifted and hydrated and making yourself feel good. Healthy boundaries create that space for more genuine connections. So, I guess the question I want to ask you guys right now is, have you struggled with setting boundaries? Is this all hitting you right now? How does it feel to say no when it is needed? And I want you to share your thoughts below on that.
Yeah.
Or even, like I said, this holiday season when we get around our family, oh, can it be tough to put those boundaries in place? I think especially with like your parents, or for me it was like the older generations that I'm like, "Oh my gosh, saying no to my dad?" Like like that's just wild for me to say, because when you're younger, you can't say no, don't be sassy, don't talk back. And saying no, it's like you feel like you're going to be put in the timeout corner.
Well, and that's like the worst look on a from a parent's face of disappointment. If you're saying no or you're standing up for yourself and you're
Mhm.
really being your authentic self because this is what you feel, and then you see your parents' pain or disappointment, and it
Yep.
makes you feel like total crud. Like it really does. But at the same time, the more you live in your truth and it, you just feel free and
Mhm.
you and it's okay for them to have their truth. Like what so we're supposed to give up our truth, but they can keep on pounding their truth.
Yeah,
So,
true.
it's we can all just agree to disagree at times, especially during the Thanksgiving time.
And
Don't
one
stay
thing I've
quiet either.
realized with even just going through this process is I understand more. Before I used to be like, "Oh my gosh, this person is this way. They're such a rude person. I can't believe they said this or that, or I can't believe they even had the audacity to talk to me that way." Now I kind of have hit this point in my spiritual journey of, wow, like they grew up this way, and what they're doing is just projecting how they were raised and how they grew up. And even
Yeah,
I'm doing that too. I saw
right.
things from a different perspective growing up. I grew up in a loving, nurturing place. I mean, I our parents make mistakes, but I really did have a beautiful childhood. And then there's some people that were really raised off of this survival, and whenever you come and confront them, they automatically get triggered. They go into that survival mode. They think everything's against them, you're against them. Even though you are just speaking your truth, they automatically say, "Oh, she or he is completely going against me, and now it is war." And maybe you knew
Yeah.
how to really communicate and they don't. So not taking that also personally.
If you had a parent that was very confrontational or very critical, I find that when I've worked with people and then just in maybe breaking free from it in my 20s is that you take everything personally and you have this a voice of your mother or your father or something coming down when the person's speaking to you that could be from a totally different country.
Mhm. Yeah.
But that's the voice you hear, that's your perspective. And so it's just being aware of it and not taking it personally. I've just walked through that this last week, but it was really beautiful because it was just more an awareness. It wasn't like taking me out or anything. Just where did this come from? Where did this belief come from? Why is this a little bit of a trigger, but feeling off? And then we came to it. And actually, I'm going to talk about that in another episode. But bouncing into some more action steps is meditation. And on our YouTube channel, we have so many meditations and they're very specific. And if you need to rewire your brain for what we're talking about right
Yeah.
now, even like having the self confidence going in and saying, listen, I have a hard time setting healthy boundaries. So you visualize this in the meditation, and then you give it to the higher self, yourself, and God, and then you're going to visualize what you want it to be like. What would you like to be like with your mother? What would you like to be with your brother, or whatever it
Mhm.
is, especially coming up on these holiday seasons? And then you're training your brain and rewiring your brain that the next time you're in that situation, guess what? You're sticking up for yourself. You're living your
Mhm.
truthfulness, and it's pretty awesome. And the more you live in your truth, you don't stand for that. You don't have these like 20 masks you feel like you have to throw on each day, from
Yes.
work to
I
home.
feel like oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. And I just
Oh,
want to add in the last one, and then Ashlyn's going to be our bonus action step,
yeah.
is love. I ask a lot of people this question, and I had to ask myself this question. Bringing in and getting out of the loneliness is starting to remember, if you don't have anything, of your hobbies and things that really truly bring you joy. And sitting with this in meditation, kind of combining the two, where you're not in your frontal part of your brain, the mind that's just like, critical thinking and stuff, going deeper down into your subconscious and saying, like, what did I really truly enjoy as a child? Like, what were the things I loved? Ashlyn and I
Mhm.
have expanded on this from when we were little girls, like cooking, and
Oh,
Ashlyn was
yeah.
teaching,
For
and
me, I used to trap my little brother in the room with me, and I used to have all my lessons plans figured
and he
out.
was a horsey on top of that.
Yep.
So Ashlyn
I
loved
loved
horses.
horses, and also me and my one of my best friends growing up, we would also film ourselves doing, like, Dr. Phil and Oprah, and here I am now on video camera, helping the
And
world.
right. And I was telling Ashlyn, like, I would go out with my girlfriends and we would be doing modeling at 11 years
Yep.
old. We were
And
taking
look at you
pictures with our
now.
little cameras, and but 6 years old and doing aerobics. I loved doing that. Like, it was just in me. So the health, different things. There are things that you did,
Mhm.
or if you just, and it might have just been a little bit that you had a little glimmer of it, but maybe you lived in a different home life where things were really rough. But there was a glimmer of something that really
Maybe
brought you to
even a
life.
movie that you liked, maybe that connected
Mm-hmm.
with you. For me, it was, like, Spirit,
Right.
horses.
Yes. That's where your spirit essence is saying, hey, these are some of the things I would like to experience in this lifetime. So let's get going.
I
So
also
bringing
wanted
in
to
hobbies and fun stuff.
to add as well, even just kind of connecting a little bit in with the boundaries, is Jerome and I were actually talking about it this morning, and I think it's like having the expectation as well for people that can make us feel really lonely, because at times we might have this expectation for how we expect our dad to act, our mom to act, our sister, brother, whatever, your boyfriend, girlfriend, what they're supposed to do. And obviously there are stones that I think are mandatory, such as respect and loyalty. Those are expectations and high expectations that you should have in all your relationships. But if you know, for instance, with like your dad or your mother, that they are not going to reach a certain thing that you have in your head, like, oh, my dad is supposed to constantly listen to me and protect me, and my mom is supposed to nurture me and hug me and love me. And throughout your life, they're never going to meet up to that expectation. Sometimes having expectations can kind of be a little bit of a bad thing in that manner, and it will cause you to be consistently disappointed. So
Mhm.
remembering that the person is just who they are, and for instance, with family, I love my family for who they are at times, not this thing that I have in my head of how they should be or act.
Right.
It's
You have to
and
let that go.
obviously it's not like they're bad people. I'm saying if you are just expecting like that little like, "Oh, I expected my dad to do this, I expected my mom to do this," just remember that, yes, have high values and high standards, but don't be consistently disappointed every holiday, every time they come and visit, by those expectations.
Well, and we're taking it from our paradigm where we can hang out with their family. There are definitely a lot of people out there that have very, very toxic relationships with their parents
Exactly.
and need to have stronger boundaries, and maybe even completely cut off, because it is so toxic that every single time they tap in
Amen.
on a phone call or anything, it absolutely drops them down because it's abusive or whatever. And I've worked with people like that too, that there was just never anything that could come out of the mother's mouth without just tearing the person down. Yet they were such high achievers, just still just striving so hard to have the mother
Mhm.
recognize how amazing she was, or, he was, and different things. And so having even a deeper boundary there for the self-love, but
Amen.
not feeling lonely, because you can feel immensely lonely, and you have the wiring in your brain too that you're not enough and there's something wrong with you. And you could be surrounded by a ton of
Yeah.
people and yet feel like you're completely shriveled into just this nothingness. And
Mhm.
I think there's a lot of people in this world. That's the reason why this came up. Is I just had sat in meditation 4 or 5 days ago, and I said, what does the world need right now? What would Ashlyn and what are we meant to share with this world? And I'm not kidding. In that day alone, random people and people that I knew, the theme was loneliness. Whether they were talking about their
Mhm.
family members being deeply lonely. I visited a assisted living center for the elderly. I love going there. It fills my heart. And I wanted to go there because in my own life, I was thinking, okay, I am going into the winter time. Last year was kind of a little bit crazy. And
Mhm.
I'd gone more into a solitude because there was so much spiritual evolution that was happening. And I felt like, wow, who can relate to what I'm going through right now? And I said, I'll never do that again. I need to be around people. So I started like 3 months ago I went and found a place to go and connecting. This is what we're talking about, connecting. But listen, there's 80 plus people there. And the first day I walked in there, my spirit was just alive. And I went around and introduced myself to everybody. And honestly, I might get a little emotional about this because I'm feeling it. I didn't expect this. But I'm still picturing the vision of me walking in there, and everybody is sitting there waiting for the guy to come in and do the music. So you picture a big room with everybody sitting around tables, and we're doing snacks. And it's 3 p.m. and it's my first time there, and I didn't know what I was going to be doing or anything. And here's this little girl that used to be so incredibly shy. And I literally said this to myself, look at you now.
Oh.
I went and introduced myself to every single one of them and just loved on them. And it was just, I still go there 2 times a week, and they become so dear to me. And, 3 have already passed away because it is an assisted living center. And one sweet lady just got put on a hospice yesterday. And so it's the time that I get to share these sweet spirits. And that's what I'm saying, like, connect on a deeper level, connect with things that really, truly, like, this is a hobby. This brings me joy.
Yeah.
But on top of that, it's like, on a deeper level, because this is what I've always loved. I've loved older people, and I love little kids too, obviously, but I did not expect to cry. I just had that whole emotional time
I
of
love it. That was perfect
looking at this
to
scared
come on.
girl that used to not dare go and say hi to anybody. And now it just doesn't bother me at all. I mean, just put me on TV. But
Amen.
I
Totally agree.
absolutely, the spiritual evolution and growth of just truly being your authentic self, there's just not that loneliest feeling of, because you do truly start to connect with those that are meant to walk in your path. And I'm so beyond grateful for the Ashland's back.
Me
And then
too.
we get to do this. Oh my gosh, Ashley. We didn't expect. Anyways, so
No.
much love. I'll turn the time over to Ashlyn now.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say that, with shifting your mindset, it's very important as well with that,
Yeah.
what you were saying. And developing that mindset embraces self-sufficiency and just that internal fulfillment, like with going to the assisted living center or just connecting, going out, finding those joys that you really connect with. And everyone's different. It's not like, for me, mine's not assisted living. For me, it's really connecting, either like teaching kids or teaching people or connecting with my friends. I love doing things like that. And it's not like every day we need to feel like we are just a ball of sunshine, because yeah, sometimes we're not. We feel like crap. But even just getting out and getting that vitamin D and just
Mm-hmm.
having those healthy nutrients in our nutrients in our body, can also benefit us just to feeling good. And one great action tip for this is to try meditations or mindfulness for just 5 minutes a day. Focus on your breath. Like we've talked time and time again, my mom's meditations are absolutely amazing, her the breath work. And gently remind yourself that you are enough, more than enough, exactly as you are. And I would like to
Right.
add too that I've recently was looking up like touch starvation. And
Mm,
I think that it's especially, I've said this time and time again, that
love you.
after COVID, it's like we lost touch, emotional
Right.
touch, physical touch, because we couldn't
Right.
be around each other. And literally, it is called touch starvation, where you can pretty much go crazy. You need to be able to touch yourself. Someone, even just your friend, just a hug, a 20-second hug can do so
Mm,
many crazy benefits to your body, filling you up with oxytocin and really putting like those healthy little I like to call them my healthy little June bugs in my body that just make me feel, those June bugs in the summer where they're like on the ground. That's how it makes my body feel. I'm just like, "Ooh, I feel good." It makes me feel happy, and even I've noticed it with my sons that just giving them that hug or just touching them and saying
mm,
it's so much more powerful with touch and saying, "I love you." And doing that with yourself, even like I mentioned in my previous podcast, a weighted blanket can do magic if you are alone. That really just makes you feel cuddled up and snuggled and safe. And creating that safety within yourself is everything. And if you do have a safe person to be in touch with, do that. And I think that my
do
husband has
it.
really brought that out of me because my love language, I'm not going to be honest, is not really physical touch. And he loves hugging and just like rubbing. And I'm just like, whenever we first started dating, I'd like freeze up, like, oh, this is a little abnormal. I don't like this. But then he kind of really brought it out at me. Now I'm the big snuggle bug.
Right.
But remember to try these meditations. And have you ever done them? If you have or haven't, write it below.
Yeah.
And how does it make you feel? I feel like really journaling it down your day on action steps that you have taken. Has it
Yeah.
made you feel good? Has it made you feel bad? Why has it made you feel this way? I know for me that every single day I need to do either breath work, I need to get out of the house and be in the sun. I need to do something that benefits me. And even if it's raining outside, I'm doing activities with my kiddos in the house because I need something that brings me that joy
Joy.
in my life.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's bringing back the joy and creating it for yourself. I mean, we are absolutely
Mhm.
responsible for our life. And it's really interesting. That was like a really big rude awakening for me was that, you know what? Hey, I can create this. So why am I
Yeah.
not creating this? Why am I not creating more love for myself? Why am I not creating more joy and bliss? And what do I want to do? And so that was just like the meditation of what we talked about, just tapping in. Maybe yours is going to church and joining a community. All churches out there have little special groups and type things, or there's
Yeah.
Meetup app, the Meetup app.
Even my library, they
Hmm.
have all these different events that went on. Like, I'm kind of bummed I missed it, but they had a whole yoga sound
Bath,
meditation that they had there, or they have their ancestry thing where you get to do ancestry, or
right?
they have Wednesday meetups at the library where they do story time for the kids and activities. Like,
They
even now
do.
they're doing like the Christmas tree light up in a
There's
couple weeks.
Right. There's so many free things to do. Meetup
Mhm.
app is one of them, just Meetup app. And there's tons of different genres of what, like mine was hiking, being nature lovers. There was one where they really like to go out and try food cuisine. There's so many out there. Even there's ones that are just virtual, so you can be part of a book club. What is
Mhm.
it that you want to be part of? There's so many options. And that was what I hit first. I was like, would I want to go and be part of like a community church wise
And
or
let's be
assisted living
honest
center or women's
too,
shelter?
a lot of loneliness comes from us not wanting to step out of our comfort zone, and I'm guilty.
Yeah,
Whenever
it's
I
easier
feel
to stay at
lonely,
home.
it's so
Hmm.
much easier, and I'm just kinda there sulking like, "Oh, poor me," I'm so alone, this stinks, but then whenever it's like even just loading up the kids in the car, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I have to load the kids
Mhm.
up in the car, and it's gonna be a whole process, and do I really wanna go to the park? Do I really wanna get outside?"
You're
But
right. We can
have you
talk
guys ever
ourselves
done
out
that
of it.
even with the gym? You know, you're like, "Oh, I don't even wanna drive," or even just work, and
Yeah.
then you get
That's
there.
another that's a good connection place too, is a gym,
Yeah, and you're
right?
just like you get there, and then once you get there, even just like, maybe in the first 15 minutes, you're just like, "Huh," but then once you get rolling, or
Just
even
gotta
whenever
walk
you
through the
get
door.
home, you're like, "I'm so grateful I did that. I feel amazing. That benefited my day." So even just reflecting on those moments afterwards, not even just
Yeah.
before, during.
Right. Even times of going to assisted living center, I'm like, "Oh, I could get this done right now." But what the facility does for me tenfold, I mean, 10 times my enjoyment of life
Mhm.
and quality of life. And so sitting back too and just like thinking what really truly brings quality to my life. Am I in a hamster wheel? Am I doing things on repeat pattern because I'm so used to waking up this way, going to work this way, ending my day this way?
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel lonely when I go to bed. Well, it's always up to us to say, gosh, I'm the change machine. I get to change, you know,
Yes.
do the
Uh-huh.
same thing over and over again, expect something different. It's the most asinine thought.
You
Like,
are the
and I say
creator of
that to
your life.
myself.
You are the
Mhm.
creator,
You're the
100%. That's one thing
creator,
I've had to realize too.
legitimately.
I love being alone, but I'm not lonely. It makes me honestly
No,
so happy to, especially being around kids all day, I'm gonna be honest, go and be alone in the bathtub and have that time with myself, or
nighttime ritual.
going for a drive just by myself and
Mhm,
singing my favorite songs. Like those moments for myself, I embrace the solitude as an opportunity of self-growth, reflection,
mhm,
and even just creativity. I get to really
right.
think, what's the next steps for me and my mom? What do I want to create with myself? What's the next journal? What's the next course that I want to start creating? Or even just having that creating that gratitude. I get to see, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful actually that I get to spend time with this person or that person. I get to have this time. When you spend time alone, you are giving yourself time and space to reconnect with your inner truth. And that is so important.
Yeah,
Even with, like I said in my previous podcast with the Satnam, with that means that you are truth. I am truth. Truth is my essence. So connecting
mhm.
with that truth within of who am I?
Who
What
am
do
I?
I want to create? What is my life that I want to manifest?
Yep, I've said that on a daily basis now. Who am I? I'm talking to my spirit. So that's why we have number one is self-love and connecting with yourself. That's the foundation. And then having the deeper connections with other people
Mhm.
because you're going to know by
Gratitude for that.
connecting with yourself what you really do want and then bringing the joy in and activities and
Mhm.
not feeling lonely and where do you want to do that knowing thyself it's just
Mhm.
you can see how it just kind of expands and grows and
Yeah, and
so
you'll attract more
yeah
into your life
oh
100%.
it's absolutely beautiful it's
And then
beautiful
also, for an extra just reminder for yourself, remember that loneliness is not permanent. You have to shift to power your mindset, nurture your self-love, and create meaningful connections. Like you said, it's each small step you take today will lead you to a brighter, more just happier self and fulfilling tomorrow. Believe in your worth and ability to also just thrive.
Yeah, we had so much love to all y'all. Everyone goes through different times in life, and some people feel a loneliness much longer.
Mhm.
We
'Cause
hope
maybe
we
you've
know this video will help you because it's
yeah.
actually what I've done. I'm telling you, it's the action behind when you've gone within yourself that speaks to you in your heart space, and
Mhm.
it's just this like all-knowing voice, and just take immediate action on it, and it just starts to evolve into more and more.
And I would
Um,
also like to add too that sometimes just giving yourself grace. Whenever I lost my friend, about 4 years ago, there wasn't that I was so lonely, but I had to sit within
mhm.
that loneliness
Yeah, be
and
okay
really
with it.
feel that loneliness, because
Mhm.
if I would have dived into, "Well, now I gotta fulfill it with something else or another
Yeah,
friendship." No, I had to feel that, I had to mourn that, I had to grieve it.
yeah.
So if you have lost somebody or maybe you just recently went through a breakup, whatever, and you're feeling that depth of
But there,
loneliness,
yeah,
just freaking feel it, because it took me
stay in
4
it.
years of just
Yeah,
grieving, and instead of just feeling it, so feel what you're feeling right now, and just it can be rough, especially whenever you have, like, been with that person for so long. You've created so many deep, beautiful memories, and you have to grieve that they're no longer here and that you are gonna feel lonely with them not being around anymore. I swear when we get together, but you are just really gonna have to feel into that loneliness and grieve for what is no longer there, even though I know she's here, but I can't necessarily talk to her like I could every single day, like through text message. Hey girl, how's your day? Or I think it's, like that comfort in relationships that it can give us. So whenever those relationships end, it feels like a piece of you is missing. And that can create deep, deep, deep loneliness within. And that's why I love what we're talking about, because it's whenever she passed away, I had to find my truth within. I had to find my self-love, because if I would have just gone into the next relationship, the next friendship, I probably, and I did, fall into a lot of unhealthy friendships, that because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know my boundaries of, like, this is what I am, this is what I believe. I'm not putting up with unhealthy friendships, and I let a lot in. Now my relationships and my friendships are absolutely beautiful. But if you do not have those boundaries and understanding that you love yourself so much that you are fine being by yourself, you love being alone, and you're not lonely, though that's important. And that's why you need to really sit in that loneliness at times and be okay with being alone, because then you can end up
yeah.
like me, trying to
Still
dealing
have
with
your
crazy
loving
friendships.
moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can be alone, but you're doing a lot of self love in that so called alone from other people, but you're diving deep into this
Yeah.
love for yourself and this nurturing and the being the mother that you need, or the dad that you need, or the friend that you need.
Oh,
That
point
it's
on.
coming all into you, and you just have this beautiful relationship with yourself that's evolving. And I really feel like that's where suffering, one of the purposes of suffering in life comes from, is for us to sit with it
Mhm.
and
And me and
to
you both
grow.
have experienced that whenever we are alone, we have grown so much in
Hmm.
that, I'm gonna put little quotations over it, loneliness, because we
Yeah,
have been able to grow within that. And
been grateful.
every time I have stepped up, even right now going through postpartum, in the first 2 months, like I mentioned previously, that I felt so alone and lonely. I ended up looking out my window and I was like, I felt like this connection with, like, all these moms around the world during that time, because 'cause I'm just like, there's probably some other mom looking out their window right now, losing their crap. They have a crying baby, and they're probably like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so alone." But whenever I
Mhm.
did that and I just looked out my window, I'm like, "There's somebody else that's feeling this way right now," and I felt like after I gave birth to him that there was, like, this new version of me arising, and I didn't know how to really deal with that emotion of, like, this new thing and identity, and dealing with the crying baby and trying to figure that all out. It's a lot of work, because my brain was just, like, all over the place. And but going through that loneliness feeling and just being alone in those nights, it's helped me grow into just feeling even this empowerment within myself and my femininity. And really, now I felt like I mentioned it with, Malay, my oldest, that I'm like, "Wow, I feel so strong, I no one can walk over anything." Now I feel I've double timed on love, on my mama bear. My boundaries right now are, "Don't screw with me, I might bite." I think that that's one thing I just had to add, that through the loneliness, there does come a lot of strength in that.
It's the
Mhm.
aloneness with self. It's wonderful. It's
I
beautiful. It's
agree.
actually a gift. Start with 5 minutes a day.
I
It's
agree.
the perfect day to start. We send you so much love,
Yes, and if you're
and welcome
looking for
back,
even
Ashley.
more self-love or support and just feeling less alone in this journey, Follow us on at Now Thatz Love. And also we have some amazing anchors on Etsy that are also going to be linked below. So go and look for your amazing anchors to help you along in this journey. Helpful, share it, heart it, and follow along with us. We are evolving and growing every day and having so many amazing videos that come to mind that we're like, we're going to have to do this. We probably have like 10 just already in mind right now at this moment. So we love y'all and we can't wait to see you guys on the next podcast. Lots of
Bye.
love.